In 2020, I did the insane, unthinkable thing, which was winning my first ever WSOP Bracelet event in a $500 online format. I have no idea how to play tournaments at the time. I've never studied. I've never even played an event. And the first WSOP online event I played, I won, which is just completely nuts. And now I'm happy to say I'm a proud owner of 2 of these. This is from 2026. There's so many cool diamonds, and it's really sparkly. It looks really cool, and I recently won in a $5,000 online buy-in, and I beat Adrian Mateos, which is also even more insane. But here we are. I wanted to just make a little reflection video about the insane month of June that I had, because this was about last week, and reflect on it, because, last time I uploaded here on this channel, I just kind of talked about the sun run I've been on, the struggles over the past 2 years winning in poker, and it's just so funny to think that all this sun run culminates into an insane accomplishment like winning a bracelet. And now that I have 2, now that I just profited $1.8 million in cash, or I tried to profit $2 million, I kind of got a little too greedy. I did not successfully win $2 million in June. I tried my best. I played like 2 more cash games since I uploaded that video, and maybe I got a little greedy. I played on Hustler, I played in a private game, ended up losing small in both. But yeah, still to profit about $1.8 million, and then to end the month winning a bracelet like this is a bigger accomplishment, in my opinion, than, sun running in cash games, because I've just been trying for so long. I've dedicated the past 4 years of my entire life, 4 years and 4 straight summers here in Vegas playing the WSOP. Obviously, I got hooked for life on the tournament format by winning one, and just the feeling of accomplishment, feeling of being in a competitive environment and just playing against the very best. And this specific tournament is special because when I look at the bracelet, I think of the insane field that I had to battle and navigate through. It was a $5,000 online buy-in, and the final table was played in person, and that FT was the most craziest one I've ever played in. It had Nick Schulman, Shannon Shore, Adrian Mateos, Dijon, and Pedro Neves. All 5 of them, some of the best players in the entire world. And I literally cannot keep honing in on that fact. And then there was me. There were 6 players left in a 6 max event. And, think of those 5 players that I shared that final table with. There are many other very, very top tier elite poker players that entered the tournament. And to be the person that comes out on top is quite the accomplishment that I can hang my head high on, especially after playing heads up with Adrian. So it's just funny to have the surge of momentum, the surge of run good, something that I've been deeply, deeply trying to search for the past 2.5, 3 years. And to have it all come literally in the span of 30 days, and to have an eye-opening, jaw-dropping experience winning insane amounts of money is just everything that I've been working towards. You don't never know when you're due, I guess. You never know when the run good's going to come. And Mariano texted me saying throughout the past 2.5 years, he said that I was due to win big or have some positive success in some degree, because he's watched me lose and lose and lose for a long time. And he told me he was right. But it's just funny. You just never really know when it comes to a high variance format like poker. But I wanted to just kind of highlight a few, I think 4 moments from the final table and live stream that really stuck out to me. So this first one here on the screen, you'll see that I have pocket 6s. And just set some context, we're early on at the final table. We all just got settled down and we're fighting for pots. I haven't been able to make many big hands, but I call a cutoff open from the small blind with 6s. Cutoff who raised was the shortest stack at the time. It goes check, check, flop, check, check, turn. And now we're arriving on the river with 5th pair and a dream pretty much. And I just decided to turn my hand into a bluff. Pot size bet of 150,000, which is 7 big blinds or 8 big blinds, which isn't a massive bet by any means. But to get a superior hand, to fold, to execute on what I thought was a very reasonable and good bluff, just feels good to pick up momentum and steam. And it just showed that I was here to battle for every single pot, and I was here to fight hard while also understanding that maybe I have a much more puntier, aggressive image. So, when you have an image like that, people are going to call you more often. But in this instance, it got through, it worked out. There's always a risk. And been going through this thing over the past 2.5 years where it felt like every single bluff when I was playing poker got called, and every single value bet received a fold. Just to have one bluff get through really helped out. You know, I get to steal the pot, which wasn't worth piles, but you know, in a final table, every single pot is worth a lot. So, you know, I take away chips that could have been earned from the shortest stack. I added a little bit to mine. I kind of get some positive momentum thinking that I'm making good decisions and that I'm sticking with my gut and I can trust my gut. This was just like kind of paving the path to having the right mindset and mentality going into the final table, especially when you're playing against 5 other players that, I'll be completely honest with you, all 5 of them are much, much, much better poker players than myself. But I'm here to battle, I'm here to compete, and this next spot, obviously, ace queen offsuit, and I'm facing a decision for my tournament life. So there's 5 players left at this point. I am 3rd out of 5 in chips with 28 big blinds. There is an 8.5 big blind stack in the big blind and a 15 big blind stack. So there's a really big jump between the stacks, and I'm just left in a pretty miserable, awful spot when the chip leader goes all in versus me when I raise the cutoff. Ace queen offsuit in a vacuum, an amazing, amazing hand. But in this exact situation, it just felt like I was kind of torn on what I wanted to do. It felt really strong, but also did I really want to risk my tournament life here on what I would imagine is a flip to be chip lead or to have completely disaster situation, which is getting busted out of the tournament in 5th place for like $62,000. And, you know, I've had some success in tournaments so far. I've been traveling around the world. I final tabled 8 different tournaments so far this year, but I haven't been able to close out one. I think I've gotten 3rd, 4th, 5th, everything else besides 1st and 2nd place. And I just kept getting flashbacks in this moment where it's like, you know, I've been putting myself in these situations to try and win, but I just keep ending it in some sort of disaster. So I was emotionally really scarred from, you know, these painful bust outs, but that's what makes tournament poker so fun. You're constantly in this fight or flight moment. You're constantly at risk of elimination, and you just kind of have to risk it at times. And in hindsight, actually, I think ace queen offsuit is a fold. I looked it up, and the ace calling with ace queen loses like $3,000. But in the moment, I said YOLO. You know, especially when you're playing against better players, you kind of want to take a higher variance format. You want to take, you know, what you think are good spots. And luckily, I had him dominated. Flop was just the most magical thing in the world, where he didn't have a straight draw, flush draw, no jack, turn 100% on the river. I hit an ace. And there we go. That kind of sealed my path to try and win. You know, that brings me from 3 out of 5 in chips to chip lead. And I'm like a pretty reasonable chip lead at that. There's some separation between myself and Mateos. And, you know, I thought this specific moment would give me the best chance to win. I'm obviously here showing up for a chance to win. As much as I want to collect some pay jumps, I want to make the most money as possible and ladder up. At some point, you got to risk it. And I'm just happy that this moment was just so pivotal and I'm on the right side of this all-in. I'm glad that I was dominating him. The cards ended up working out where, you know, my hand won, and you got to win all-ins to win tournaments. And this one was obviously by far and away the most important one of all, because that just kind of changed the complete trajectory. It's pretty scary, you know. You are literally going to make a decision that will either allow you the best chance to win or just completely end your journey here and just stop dead right on its tracks. Or it could just fold it. Easily can just fold and move on and live with my life, and, you know, who knows what would have happened, but took the high variance route, and obviously it worked out. This next screenshot here is me chopping ace jack versus ace 9, and Adrian was actually at risk in this hand, so I had a chance to win. I mean, it was from piles of chips. It was like 4 million chips, which was almost like 80% of the chips in play or something like that, and I just chop, and it felt really demoralizing because if you watch the video or the stream, I doubled up Adrian, I think like 3 or 4 times back to back to back. Either I doubled him up or we chopped, and each time I pretty much had either a pretty decent equity flip or I was completely dominating him. And I thought this one was going to be the one. I raised the 3 big blinds. He goes all in for 20 big blinds, give or take, and obviously snap call with ace jack in a heads up environment. And it's just like incredible. It's like a dream. I mean, the ace jack kicker is going to play so often, and when that ace hit on the turn, it was just so frustrating, to be honest with you, because there's not that many chances that you have a chance to knock out an elite player like Adrian Mateos. And I didn't know how many more chances I had in me. You know, you can only get yourself in these amazing spots time in and time again. So like the hands before this, I lost So in the hands before this, I chopped king 7 versus king 4. And then I doubled him up my pocket 4s versus his king 4. And then I doubled up again my 8-6 suited to his ace 10. And it's just like, how do we lose or chop these 3 straight hands in a row, giving him a lot of momentum, a lot of steam. And this was like a pivotal moment because I just remember really trying my best to control this level of frustration, some anger, some tilt. Like, obviously this is very natural when it comes to losing poker hands. Poker is inherently such an emotional game, and that's obviously led me to a lot of downfalls because you've seen me kind of tilt and punt off a lot of the time, especially on these high stakes cash streams. And it's just nice that through all of my experiences now, having played poker for 7 straight years and playing some of the highest stakes possible and being very vulnerable and transparent about the situation, this moment, I was just kind of able to cruise back in, control everything that I was feeling, bottle that up, and just focus on the next hand. The cool thing about poker is that I feel like it's a microcosm of how you view life. You know, you're going to get knocked down, you're going to get bad beated, you're going to just have unlucky things happen to you throughout the course of life, and it's just all about how you respond, how do you battle, how do you just move on to the next hand, which is exactly what poker is. And then the next hand I had 3s and I just went all in. But yeah, I spent a lot of time during my downswing to just prepare my mental and emotional state. I felt like that was the most important thing outside of being better at poker, like fundamentally. Sure, I give a lot of credit to all the people that spend a lot of time studying and being really good. For me, I just felt like if I did the right things, improved my daily habits, sleeping habits, eating habits, and focused on mindset, my level of tilt would decrease, and that would inherently like help me exponentially with all decision making across the board. It doesn't even have to be poker, it can be life related and stuff. And it's just cool to see that sort of intentional work and part of life that I've been focusing on over the past couple of years pay off in this exact moment. Because I never really knew when you would get tested in a manner like this. It was kind of just like a thing I was naturally doing as a byproduct of my downswing. I recognized that my weakest point was my mental game. And I'm just proud to show that this moment here, I could feel a little bit of my blood boiling, but not enough to affect how I was going to play and affect my strategy moving forward. And of course, the very last moment is when I pick up queens, I limp in, Adrian announces all in, and this is like a freeze frame of my excited, insane face. Like 95% of the time, 99% of the time when I play poker, whether it's cash or live streams, I'm pretty stoic. I try to like keep a very calm, mild-mannered presence. Like I don't really like to show much emotions. I don't really like to show like both of the extreme sides of euphoria and happiness and joy on the positive end, and on the negative side, like insane tilt, anger, dissatisfaction, like all of it. I try to be somewhere in the middle because I think that's where, at least for me, my weak point is if I ever get too emotional one way or another, then my decision making is completely skewed and I'm not really working on fundamentals or operating off that anymore or logic. It's just, playing based on pure emotion leads to insane variance and usually very, very large mistakes for me. That's why, one of my, I think, things that I don't love about my, style, and especially as a content creator, is that I'm not as vocal on stream. I'm not as talkative. I don't show my personality as much, and it's just because I don't think I'm very good at balancing both the personality, emotional side, along with playing, trying to play decent poker as well. I'm all in on the poker, or I'm all in on trying to be entertaining or show personality. And when I play poker, especially in this very competitive, high-stakes environment, like trying to win a bracelet with a lot on the line, I'm going to prioritize the poker. But this spot here where I just have this freeze frame, I showed just a little bit because this was like the dream scenario. I had this back and forth, all-in swings. We keep giving Adrian chips. We keep doubling him up. I didn't have insane, amazing hands, but I pick up queens, top tier, premium hand. It's just a dream spot to literally hear those two magical words where he says all in for his last 8 big blinds. And I just kind of let down a little bit of that guard. And I don't want to overplay the fact that, or downplay the fact that, this is a really great chance. I mean, I have 80% to win a bracelet, and then we've chopped a lot. Can this actually be the one? I could feel it, I could taste it, but I couldn't let myself really be in that moment, because what if that 20% comes? What if I'm just completely devastated and I lose with queens? I'll never personally be able to recover from being so elated, so happy, so optimistic about winning, and then having to come back to heads up, get back to the table and battle is not a gear that I have, which I give a lot of respect to people like Phil Hellmuth or Martin Cabral. These people who like really wear their heart on their sleeves, who show a lot of personality, who are more outrageous, outspoken at the table, and can also still play their game and like play good poker. It's just not something that I can really do on camera. So, you know, I'm just unveiling the curtain a little bit. I just wish I was a little bit more like them and aspire to be like them, but it's just not how I am. But I do love the fact that I was able to capture a little bit of this moment where I could feel a little bit of elation and show a little bit of happiness and wonder, because what more can you ask for? I got queens, we're playing for a bracelet, and our opponent's all in, heads up. So that's a quick little recap of, you know, how I was feeling in certain moments of this WSOP bracelet. I can't believe that this is the world and life that I'm living in. Like all of those very long, sad nights where I questioned my life decisions. It's worth it now, I can finally say. Thanks for listening to this ramble.